Well, we have actually set up in the church a screen, so I'm able to see quite a number of people on the Zoom. So that is lovely to be able to have that connection in that way. I wanted to speak a little about gratitude and thanksgiving today. It may seem in one sense a peculiar thing to talk about in the midst of this pandemic where there is such suffering, not only within our own country, but of course around the world. And yet it seems to me that gratitude and thanksgiving is not something that disappears when there are hard times or when we are suffering. To be thankful is something that shapes and forms us. I often wonder, when someone sends me a thank you card, whether I should send them back a thank you card for their thank you card. I know it's not very logical, but I do often feel that I should respond in some way to their generosity, to their thankfulness for whatever it was that I contributed to their life. It's lovely to get a card or a letter that expresses a person's gratitude for something that one may have done or one's experience in some way. But it would miss the very point if one expected a response to a thankfulness or to gratitude. A card is often just a simple token of appreciation, an expression of the relationship you may have with that person. It's an opportunity to express one's gratitude, one's thankfulness toward the person that you are writing to. In fact, the relationship may be very tenuous, and yet a person can feel moved to thank you for something you said or something you did. I have many thank you cards in my filing cabinet from people who have been present at funerals or baptisms or weddings, church services that I've conducted, and I keep them. I keep them not for my ego, but I keep them because it reminds me that there is within each of us a deep sense of gratitude, of thankfulness, when our lives have been touched, even by a stranger, by someone that we may not know very well. Some of the cards that I have are from the family of deceased people, or others are from weddings of brides and grooms, of baptisms. I even got a card one day from a little fellow who was 6 months old. Now, I don't think he actually wrote the card, but his mother wrote it or his father wrote it and put his name on the bottom as if it was from him. And it was lovely to receive that kind of sense of gratitude that they had and that he had for the service that we had. There is something humbling about receiving a thank you card. It's something that touches our centre of our being. And it can often lift us. It's not only a card that does the work. It can sometimes be a gesture. The church sent forward to me the name of a particular person and a phone number saying they would like to chat with me. I didn't actually know the name, but I called the person and discovered that it was the daughter of a member of a church that I had been the minister of some years ago. And she wanted to speak to me and say that she was grateful for the relationship I had with her father, the care that he had shown to me and that I had shown to him. And she was disappointed that I wasn't able to be invited to the funeral because they were only allowed to have 10 people, and that was generally the family. But it actually lifted me that day to think that someone would take the time to reach out and to say how they were grateful for what had happened. Grateful within the midst of a sad time. Her father had died. And yet gratitude, thankfulness, still remained a central part of that particular experience. There are deep levels of gratitude, and there are, of course, levels that are more shallow, or rather not perhaps as significant. The deep levels of gratitude can change us, can make us into something that we weren't before. Albert Schweitzer, the missionary doctor who went to Africa, said these words: "At times, our own light goes out and is rekindled by a spark from another person. Each of us has cause to think with deep gratitude of those who have lit the flame within us." Gratitude and thankfulness lights a flame within us, particularly in difficult times and in times of suffering. He is referring to how we respond to the kindness and encouragement and love that can come from another person and from an experience in life. And that's what gratitude is. It's a response to something or someone who comes into our lives with a gift or a grace. The story of the healing of these 10 lepers is an event where gratitude is a response of only one of the lepers. While the story doesn't say it, no doubt the 10 lepers, the other 9, were overjoyed at being healed. On the way to Jerusalem, Jesus was going through the region between Samaria and Galilee. And as he entered a village, 10 lepers approached him. Keeping their distance, they called out, saying, "Jesus, Master, have mercy on us." When he saw them, he said to them, "Go and show yourself to the priests." And as they went, they were made clean. Now, 9 of them perhaps didn't think about being grateful or actually saying the words towards Jesus. No doubt they could have been grateful within their own hearts and thankful for what had happened. But they didn't necessarily turn around and go back. But one of them did. And there's no condemnation of the 9 who ran headlong to show the priest that they had been healed, and therefore no longer needing to live on the fringe of society. Now they could return to being full citizens in their own town. Who wouldn't be overcome by such a thing? But one man, one of the lepers, recognised the source of his healing, and so he turned around to Jesus. When one of the lepers saw that he had been healed, he turned back and praised God with a loud voice. He fell at Jesus' feet and he thanked him. Interestingly, the author of Luke's Gospel tells us that he was a Samaritan. Not only was he an outsider because of his disease, he was also an outsider culturally, outsider of this particular society. And nevertheless, he was healed. Gratitude, having a sense of being grateful for the world around us and for the people who touch our lives. The 13th century German theologian and mystic Meister Eckhart said, "If the only prayer you ever say in your entire life is thank you, it will be enough." And those words were echoed by the General Secretary of the United Nations, Dag Hammarskjöld. He wrote, "For all that has been, thank you. For all that is to come, yes." And that doesn't mean that suffering will be eliminated or that difficult times won't still be there. But gratitude can carry us through those times, give us a resilience to those aspects of life that would push us down. Thank you is the best prayer that anyone could say. I say that one thank you expresses extreme gratitude, humility, and understanding. I know we often say that love is the greatest virtue, and of course that's true, but love can become an abstract thing. It can become a cliche. Don't we put it into practice when we say thank you, when we show gratitude? And perhaps at a deep level, the demonstration of an act of love is the expression of gratitude. Alice Walker, the American writer, said that she was one who wanted to give thanks each day for parents, for teachers, for friends, for colleagues, for church members, and for those strangers who brought a richness into her life by just saying thank you. It's easy to underestimate the inner power of gratitude. Like many virtues, it's a two-way street. When I express my gratitude, I touch the life of another person. Perhaps I make them joyful or happy, but it also does something to me by being grateful. There's a spiritual tradition developed by the Spanish priest Saint Ignatius of Loyola. It's called the Examen. And what it is a daily practice of giving thanks, regardless of the day that one has experienced. To actually go through the day and to find that which one is thankful for and express it in words to God. Review the day with gratitude, he says. Gratitude is the foundation of our relationship with God. Walk through your day and note its joys and delights. Focus on the day's gifts. Look at the work you did, the people you interacted with. What did you receive from these people? What did you give to them? Pay attention to small things, the food you ate, the sights you saw, and other seemingly small pleasures, and give thanks, for God is in the details. I'm reading at the moment a book by Robert A. Johnson, who is a Jungian analyst. And he spent 5 years in India, and he was absolutely astounded that in the midst of such poor life and poverty, there was a sense of gratitude and joy for the small things that people had. We who have so much, are so rich in things, can often be very poor in soul and not experience those small things that give us meaning and hope in life. Gratitude bestows reverence, allowing us to encounter everyday epiphanies, those transcendent moments of awe that change forever how we experience life and the world. It's important to say, of course, that in times of suffering, it's not appropriate for us, for me, for someone else, just to say, well, just give thanks for that. For one day, you'll see that it was a gift. Well, the fact is that one day we may see it as a gift, but that takes time. That takes the opportunity to go through the suffering, through the struggles, as we are in many ways in our culture and of course around the world going through a great suffering at the moment. And pray God, something does come from that. A new way of being in community, a recognition of the people around us. We don't necessarily give thanks for the pain that we suffered, but we do give thanks for that which emerges from suffering. Life exists in many ways. And of course, in one way it exists is through our suffering. And we can't eliminate it, we can't push it away, we can't be distracted from it always. It actually becomes for us a way in which we are in the world. Then Jesus asked, "Were not there 10 who were made clean? But the other 9, where are they? Was none of them found to return and give praise to God except this foreigner?" Then he said to him, "Get up and go on your way. Your faith has made you well." He reflected on what had happened. He became aware of what has happened. And out of that emerged a thankfulness, a gratitude. Your faithfulness, your attentiveness, your awareness has made you well, has made you whole. While the 9 were healed of their disease, this man was graced with wholeness. It was not just his leprosy that was cured. He left as a changed and transformed person. He was made complete because of his act of thankfulness and of gratitude. That's what made him a new man. That's what gave him joy out of that sense of thankfulness. Amen.